Hello and welcome to our 5 minutes with Ekaterina war vlog about Dnipro, the central Ukraine. Today is July 30 and it is a very hard day in terms of bombing because we had the massive rocket attack overnight with the enormous amount of rockets flying over Ukraine and with the constant alerts. These rockets were mostly targeting Kiev and Lviv regions, but also there were explosions in Dnipro, there were explosions in other cities in the region. And regretfully, Russian rocket hit a residential building where the family with 7 children lived, and as far as we know now, nobody survived. And because it was a direct hit, not all bodies were recovered from the attack. But looking at the state of the building right now, it's hard to believe, or even impossible to believe, that there would be any survivals. And of course, our hearts are just with these people, and people lost lives also in Pavlograd, people lost lives in Lviv, and it's devastating just to think about their relatives, and big condolences, obviously, to the relatives of these people. And also during the day, Dnipro itself was attacked again, and this time we already know that Russians hit the warehouse of the postal service called New Post, and this warehouse is located near 2 big hypermarkets. And this is very consistent with the recent strategy for these 2 or 3 weeks. Russians specifically started to target hypermarkets. They did it in Kryvyi Rih, they did it in other places, and what they are trying to do is basically to hit civilian population as much as possible. And the same is with the warehouses, with the postal warehouses specifically. It's a pretty much civilian object, and they're again trying to harm our civilians as much as possible, hoping for some unrest and hoping that the political situation will force the Ukrainian government to capitulate. That is the strategy. It's likely the strategy so far. And as for the situation in this bigger picture, you might have seen the big news and you might have been wondering what's happening with the Ukrainian defense minister, with the commander-in-chief, and what is happening with all the protests on the streets, which are obviously used by Russians just to make people not certain of what's happening in Ukraine, to have this kind of imbalance, a second thought or whatever. So there is a lot of disinformation, there is a lot of Russian specifically disinformation campaigns across different countries, and the most takeaway, or the takeaway from the situation, is that regretfully, we had a few corruption cases recently connected to the highest ranks in power, and these cases, they were also concerning the defense sphere, both in terms of manufacturing and in terms of distribution of goods and services within the army. And these things, they created conflicts within the governance, military governance, and the president decided to make the changes, but he started with the changes in the Ministry of Defense, and he wanted to fire the current Minister of Defense, and it just happened to be the minister that was effective in the other ministry, because he was the Ministry of the Digital Transformation, and the digital transformation in Ukraine is very successful. We have a very good portal for the governmental services that was developed from the scratch. I have an app on my phone with the governmental services, with all my documents, digital IDs, driving licenses, and it's very easy, for example, to order some reference from the government. Now you just need to go online and click a few buttons. And that's why this minister had huge support from people, but also at the same time, the previous commander-in-chief, he didn't have that much support. If you remember, it is our second commander-in-chief, and after Commander Zaluzhny, Commander Syrsky was appointed, and He led a few very successful operations like Kiev operation, Kharkiv defense operations, and he did a great job within this few years when he was the commander-in-chief. But at the same time, we had a huge problem with mobilization. We had a huge problem with Russians' advance and the scandals within the area of finance redistribution. Maybe it's not very fair to put it on him, but there are also these big cases that prosecutor office is now investigating. All this led to the public opinion that he might not be the best fit, and also he was more like old school general, and the war has changed to the drone war. The war has changed to the maybe some non-human operated things, and in general there was like this public opinion that with him we might not be able to win the war. And that's why people went on the streets, because Ukraine is a democracy even during the war, and people have their opinion and people are free to express their opinion. And in multiple cities across the country, including Dnipro, there were public protests. They were mostly against firing the Minister Fedorov, Minister of Defense, but also they were for a change in the commander-in-chief. And in the end, at least what we have now, the protests are quietened, and people are still not happy because in the end result there is a middle ground, because we have the temporary Minister of Defense, and he's a great man, but it's not the person that people wanted to see. But also at the same time, we have a new commander-in-chief, General Drapati, and I wish him all the luck. When he accepted this position, he said that Ukraine is destined to win this war, and he believes that Ukrainian army is the strongest in the world now, and he has definitely a very good plan of winning, of countering Russians. And if you go through Russian publics, which I don't recommend you doing, but we have journalists that do it for ourselves, so we don't have to read all these things. So Russians are in great despair because they know that it's a very effective person who led some very effective operations and who knows his job. That's why I'm really hopeful that now we will see some big changes and some changes for the better. And as for the changes at the front line, the previous time we were talking, I was saying that Russians are still advancing in Dnipro region, and that we had to evacuate the next set of villages. And we also were talking that the situation in Zaporizhia, which is also a very close front line, is very dangerous as well. And because FPV drones were able to reach the city itself, this situation with Zaporizhia is more or less the same, so it's very dangerous. There are drones, attacks, and the front line is very dense and very dangerous there. At the same time, when we are talking about the Dnipro region, Russians did not advance here. We cannot say that we counterattacked and regained territories, but also we can definitely say that Russians didn't achieve their goals, whatever those goals were. It's just capturing more land. But Russians did not capture more land since this a few weeks that we didn't talk to each other. That means that Russians are now heavily relying on the bombings, and the bombings are more and more and more intense. I have a friend who is now in Ukraine. He's originally from the United States, and he visited Odessa in 2022, and now he's visiting Odessa again in 2026 at the same time, so around summer. And he says that now he's actually scared for his life. He doesn't go to the seaside because he's afraid that there will be massive bombing there. And he says that every day he hears explosions in Odessa, either big rocket explosions or drone explosions, or the work of anti-missile system, which is a little bit different sound. and he is now very insecure, and he feels that the danger is way more advanced than it used to be in the beginning of this full-scale invasion years ago. And that's a very interesting situation, because when he was actually going to travel here, he did not have this image that the situation deteriorated that much. He was reading, he was following the Ukrainian news, and he was just thinking that it's the same, while it's actually getting worse. And I heard from other people that it is the same. So the public opinion from abroad is that the situation is better, or stays the same at least, because the number of news entrances are fewer and fewer, and it's the same. Oh, there was a bombing, but the scale of the situation is not reflected in media, and even people who are following are not really aware of how bad it is now. And in terms of this massive bombing, today was again a significant day, because Russians firstly deployed North Korean rockets, or at least one North Korean rocket was deployed in this attack. That means that they use Iranian drones, they use North Korean rockets, they use Belarusian territory in order to invade Ukraine, and in order to dislocate their troops, they're now dislocating their rocket systems there. And also there is no sign that this war will be over, and moreover, there are signs that after these fake elections in Russia, which are scheduled for the early autumn, there will be the massive mobilization, and they are going to recruit another 500,000 people. And as for the bombings, again, it's probably worth mentioning that there was a bomb that flew 80 kilometers inside of the Polish state. It's not the first time when the bomb or drone or something. Usually it was drones, actually. Something explosive is flying in Poland, but this time it flew 80 kilometers. It's very deep in the Polish territory, and we couldn't say that it was a border thing that accidentally flew there. So probably Russians are just testing Europe and testing NATO, testing Poland, just to see what their reaction will be, and how the plans are, how Europe will react to this war. And that's basically the update. As for the situation with the electricity, despite it's very hot and it's starting to be more hot, it's the temperatures are now around 30 degrees Celsius. The electricity is there. There are no blackouts in Dnipro. But the food is there. It's again, the supermarkets are pretty full. Again, despite targeting warehouses, despite Russians destroyed a few warehouses around the city. The situation with the gas stations, which are heavily bombed as well, is the same. You still can fuel your car easily. You will not have any troubles if you have a car, but you might travel longer distance to the gas station that is actually available and that was not bombed by Russians. And the prices going up. So all the prices are going up. The prices for food are going up. The prices for water in Dnipro, just the normal tap water, just streaming from your tap at home, it grew, I think it's 3 times, even more than 3 times now. So it's significant growth in utilities. The electricity is more expensive now. So all utilities are going up. All prices for food and all prices for fuel, for example, are going up. And regretfully, salaries are staying the same, and there is a huge unemployment because businesses are moving outside of Dnipro. So that's the economic situation. That's the situation with people. And I think that's it. I'm not commenting on this big picture because maybe you're following the news that President Zelensky went to Poland and went to the United States, meeting different people. We don't know what the outcome of these meetings is going to be, so let's just see and kind of follow the situation. And anyway, I'm trying to keep it local, to keep it around the situation in Dnipro, just to talk about what I see and what I can discuss. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this update. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment box. Please do spread the word because a lot of people, they just don't realize that situation deteriorates, and they don't realize how dangerous it is to stay in Ukraine, and specifically this contested regions, I would say this way, or closer to the border regions. And thank you very much for your support. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see you very soon under way better circumstances. Goodbye for now.